Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm really excited to dive into a book that's got everyone talking, Lessons in Chemistry by Garmus. Now, if you're into stories about strong, intelligent women breaking societal norms while serving up a little bit of wit and humor, then this one's for you. So grab your favorite snack, get comfy, and let's jump right into this extraordinary novel. Introduction to the book first off, let me give you a quick taste of what this novel is all about before we get into the deep stuff. Lessons in Chemistry is set in the 1960s, and it follows Elizabeth Zott, a fiercely brilliant chemist who's forced to trade her laboratory for a TV cooking show. Yeah, you heard that right, a cooking show. But here's the catch: Elizabeth treats cooking like it's science, and she teaches her viewers to think for themselves, question societal norms, and reclaim their power, one recipe at a time. And let me tell you, it's way more than just cooking. It's about chemistry, feminism, resilience, and finding strength in the most unexpected places. Now, without further ado, let's dive deeper into the plot. 1. Plot overview. Okay, so Lessons in Chemistry kicks off with a clear sense that Elizabeth Zott isn't your average 1960s woman. She's a chemist, a brilliant one, but she's stuck in a world where women just aren't taken seriously in science. I mean, the sexism she faces is real. If you've ever felt like you're banging your head against a wall trying to be heard, you'll really connect with Elizabeth's struggles. She works at Hastings Research Institute, where her male colleagues don't exactly welcome her with open arms. But there's one exception: Calvin Evans. Now, Calvin is an equally brilliant scientist, and unlike the others, he actually respects Elizabeth for her mind. Their connection is real, and it's built on mutual respect for each other's intelligence. And spoiler alert, Calvin and Elizabeth eventually fall in love. But here's where the story really gets interesting. Calvin's sudden and tragic death sends Elizabeth's life into a tailspin. She's left to raise their daughter, Madeline, alone, and her once promising career as a chemist is completely derailed. It's heartbreaking to watch, but Elizabeth, being the resilient woman she is, doesn't let that stop her. Now, this is where things take a twist. Elizabeth lands a job hosting a daytime cooking show called Supper at 6. Yeah, it sounds like a major downgrade for someone with her brains, right? But here's the beauty of it. Elizabeth doesn't just host this show in a traditional way. She teaches chemistry through cooking, and she teaches life. Imagine being a 1960s housewife tuning into this show, and instead of hearing, "Here's how to make a casserole," you hear Elizabeth say, "Cooking is chemistry, it's science." And then she's breaking down the molecular structure of food. It's just brilliant. It's empowering. Through her show, she begins to challenge societal norms, and women all over the country start waking up and thinking differently. 2. Themes in the novel. Now let's dig a little deeper into the major themes because this novel has a lot to say. Let's start with the most obvious one-gender roles. In the 1960s, women were expected to stay in the kitchen, raise kids, and keep a tidy home. Elizabeth is a total outlier here. She wants to be a chemist, but the world wants her to be something she's not. What I love about her character is that she never really gives in. Even when she's on a cooking show, she's still doing science. And through her unique approach to the show, she inspires other women to think, to question their roles, and to demand more from life. And speaking of more, let's talk about how this novel tackles empowerment. Elizabeth doesn't just change the lives of the women who watch her show. She empowers everyone around her, including her daughter. Madeline, who's incredibly precocious, learns from her mother's example. Elizabeth's defiance of societal norms sets the stage for the next generation of women who will fight for their place in the world. There's also a strong theme of science and logic versus emotion and tradition. Elizabeth represents science and logic, and she constantly butts heads with a world that seems to value tradition and emotion over reason. But through her actions and her words, she shows that science is not only valuable, but crucial in understanding the world around us. 3. Character breakdown. Alright, let's take a closer look at some of the key characters in the story. Elizabeth Zott, our protagonist, is such a powerhouse. She's someone who, despite all the obstacles, never stops pushing for what she believes in. And what I find so compelling is her blend of brilliance and vulnerability. She's a mother, a widow, a scientist, and a revolutionary, all rolled into one. Next, we have Calvin Evans, Elizabeth's love interest. What's interesting about Calvin is that he represents what's possible when men don't adhere to traditional gender roles. He supports Elizabeth, he values her intellect, and together they form a real partnership. Unfortunately, his untimely death is a major turning point in the novel, but even after he's gone, his influence on Elizabeth remains strong. Then there's Madeline, Elizabeth's daughter, who's honestly wise beyond her years. She's curious, intelligent, and she plays such a crucial role in Elizabeth's journey. I love how their relationship shows the passing of strength from one generation to the next. Lastly, the supporting cast, whether it's the folks at the TV studio or Elizabeth's neighbors, really adds depth to the story. They reflect the societal norms of the time, but they also show how one person's defiance can ripple through a community and create change. 4. Impact and social commentary. Let's talk about the social impact of this novel. Even though it's set in the 1960s, the themes of feminism, equality, and empowerment are incredibly relevant today. It's amazing to see how far we've come, but also a reminder of how much further we still have to go. The book also makes a point about how science is often misunderstood or undervalued, especially when it comes to women. Elizabeth's passion for chemistry isn't just a career choice for her, it's a metaphor for her entire existence. She's constantly trying to break things down, understand them, and rebuild them in a way that makes sense. Whether it's a chemical reaction or the societal expectations placed on her, she approaches everything with logic and reason. 5. My personal take. So what did I think of Lessons in Chemistry? Honestly, I loved it. Bonnie Garmus has created a character in Elizabeth Zott that's unforgettable. She's witty, stubborn, incredibly smart, and unafraid to challenge the status quo. This book made me laugh, made me think, and honestly, at times, it made me angry. But in the best way. I also appreciate how Garmus used humor and light moments to balance out the heavier topics like grief and sexism. The book never felt like it was preaching at me, but it definitely made me think about my own experiences and the world we live in today. I highly recommend this book to anyone who loves strong female protagonists, historical fiction, or just wants a good, thought-provoking read. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you connect with Elizabeth's journey? And if you haven't read it yet, what are you waiting for? Grab a copy and get ready to be inspired. That's all I have for today's review of Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Thanks for sticking around. I know this was a longer review, but this book deserved it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future content. I'll see you all next time with another great book review or discussion.